Well, howdy, buckaroos. This your old pal Gabby Hayes, coming at you with another one of them rip-roaring western yarns. You're darn tootin'. Yes, sirree, Bob. I guess you buckaroos think I've been crying, huh? No, I just got a little dust in my eye. Oh, speaking of crying, you know that reminds me of an old uncle of mine. Weeping Willie Hayes, he was known as. There was the cryingest man the world has ever known, human or otherwise. He'd cry at anything. He'd go to a show, you know, where there was a lot of comical fellers and clowns and stuff. He wouldn't laugh. He'd just cry. Well, one time they was having a tremendous drought out there in Utah. They hadn't had any rain for 37 years. Farmers was getting a little mighty discouraged, so they sent for my uncle. Well, he cried all the way out there, and they sat him down, and he started to cry, and the tears run out of his eyes. First thing you know, the tears were way up to his knees. It was that deep. Kept right on crying. Well, it wasn't long, I'm telling you, before they come right up to here, and he had to swim out of there in a hurry to get drowned. Well, he swam to shore, stood up and looked around, and there was a great big body of water. And you want to know something? It's right there to this very day. Folks calls it the Great Salt Lake. Yes, sirree, Bob. Our yarn today is about a fire that was starting to blaze between two groups of honest folks. Of course, they know the wind whipping it up was being blown by a gang of outlaws that wanted them both burned.
You know who they were? Yes, one of me. He winged one of them before they got him.
You still can't prove who owned it. It's no different than the other 44.
That's right. But if someone should come in here with a sore arm wanting to buy a gun, it might prove something. You better check this in. Mind putting this in your safe for me?
Why is it so valuable?
It was used in a murder.
Who was killed?
One of the Kirby punchers.
Who killed him?
I don't know. There were two of them. They didn't wait around to be introduced. I think I better get on over to the sheriff and tell him what happened. It's his job to catch that murderer.
He'd better call the army instead of the sheriff. That killing's after bust this valley wide open.
Yeah. Good. I'll have to stop that.
Taking on a big job for a little man.
Hey, Steve. I just ran into trouble with one of Kirby's punchers. Did he get a good look at you? Well, it makes no difference whether he did or not. He won't tell nobody nothing. Someone happened along. I think it was that stranger, Billy Carson. But I don't believe he was close enough to recognize anyone. We can't have any guesswork on anything like that. Well, I just passed him on the street and he didn't act like I looked familiar. But I'll sound him out and see what he knows. Where's Bart? Well, that puncher winged him. So he's staying up at the shack until his arm gets well. I'm going to take him up some grub. It wouldn't be a bad idea if you stayed up there, too, until I find out how things stack up. Yeah? Well, I'll think that over.
Well, that's it, Sheriff. I'm sorry I can't give you a better description of the killers.
Oh, this fellow's a powder keg, and I've been walking a tightrope trying to keep the peace between the farmers and the cattle outfits. Hello, Sheriff. Something wrong? Murder, that's all. One of the Kirby punchers. Who got him? I wish I knew. You coming with me?
Oh, I told you all I know, Sheriff. Told you where it happened. You can read the trail signs. No reason for me to go along. It's none of my business from now on.
Okay, I can't ask you to risk your hide if you don't want to. I won't have any trouble getting a posse. The sheriff had no right to expect a stranger to get tangled up in our troubles. Well, that wouldn't even be good sense.
Yeah. Man might get himself hurt.
That's right.
Hey, Billy. I saw just bought a vessel grabbing a 44 6-shooter, but he didn't have no sore arm. You can't accuse a man of being a rustler just because he bought a gun, Bud. He might not like it. Well, I ain't accusing nobody, but... Hey, if you watch the store for me, I'll mosey out after him and see where he goes. Go ahead. But you might get yourself into a mess of trouble by being too inquisitive. I'll take care of me. I hope you do. Billy's partner hit the trail, but it led nowhere. In the meantime, Steve Kinney's men was bloodying up the trail whenever they could. Aside, fellas. We've got a job to finish. You might be wrong.
They claim I was mixed up in the murder of that Kirby puncher. I was lucky to escape with my life.
You sure were. Now you've got a law court here where this can be settled fair and square. That's the way it's going to be.
Well, the sheriff ain't doing nothing about the rustling and killing that's been going on. I think it's about time we got some action.
Hey, you heard what the man said? Hey, Billy, here's the fellow that bought the gun. You notice he's only wearing one.
You two better be smart and start minding your own business before somebody gets hurt.
Anytime you want to give me a word, you can step right up. Yeah, and that goes for me, too.
Dick was my friend, and I'm going to see that someone hangs for his murder. Dan Harper is the kingpin among them cow-stealing nesters, and I'm going in after him.
I'm not fooling, Red. I hope you can see this my way, because it'll be a lot better for all concerned.
Much obliged, Fuzz. That scattergun sure has a calming effect when you're on the wrong end of it.
Yeah, old Betsy packs a lot of authority.
How do you feel, Dan?
Oh, I'll be all right. I don't like the idea of a stranger setting himself up to tell us how to run a business.
Take it easy, Red. He'll soon come down off his high horse.
Uh-oh.
Do you think you can get away with harboring an outlaw?
I'm not harboring anybody.
What would you call a rustler and a murderer if he's not an outlaw?
Wild talk isn't going to do anybody any good. Now, if you want to swear out a warrant against Dan Harper, I'll be glad to turn him over to the sheriff. If you haven't got the courage to do that, you better keep your mouth shut. That didn't take any courage. Being a woman, you know that you can get away with it.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I will swear out the warrant.
That suits me fine. I'd like to see you prove something against me. Let's go to the sheriff's office.
He's out of town.
All right, have me locked up until he gets back.
Can I have your word for it? Those fellas outside won't cause any trouble?
You can?
That's all right. Let's get going.
Red, I'm holding you responsible, and I don't want any trouble. We're taking this fellow over to the sheriff.
I want you to lock Dan up. Miss Kirby there will swear out a warrant when the sheriff gets back. Not much of a farmer, Dan, but I'll keep an eye on your place for you.
Well, I don't know how to thank you, Billy.
Don't try. You'll be all right here till we get things straightened out. I'll send over a doctor to patch you up.
Thanks.
So Carson put over a fast one on you, huh? They can't prove anything against Dan Harper, and even if they could, we won't let him come to trial. Well, what good will that do? Plenty. Some night you and the boys will grab the sheriff and Harper will disappear. The cattlemen will think the farmers rescued him, and the farmers will think the cattlemen hung him. You get it?
Yeah, not bad.
Hey, Billy, look over there.
What about it?
Oh, that fellow that bought the gun was riding with the cowboys and shouting for him to hang Dan Harper.
He was?
Yeah. And Steve Kenny's been trying to prod the farmers into making war with the cattlemen. And the two of them act very chummy outside of working hours.
Yeah. It does look as if he's trying to play both ends against the middle.
Sure do. But how are we going to prove it?
I don't know.